The cloud. All right, so welcome everyone. So today, what I'd like to do is let's go through the steps and the steps of designing. Let's do a two-stage gearbox, and I will sort of do the first bit of something, and then I will throw it to one of the other people here, and then you'll do like the second one or the whatever, maybe we'll do it a different way. So all right, so let's start by just going and doing the usual screen share two-step, and I go to my here's my ARM CAD, which we don't really need to worry about today. ARM CAD, log in, yes. Okay, so we go to Onshape. I'm going to go directly to a folder that I've already put in here, so I don't have to reshare everything, because anything I've already shared this folder with TJ2. So I don't need to give special permission to everyone for this. So I'm going to create a new document, and we're going to call it two-stage Falcon gearbox. Okay, so cool. So just like normal, we're going to get things in here. We have to bring in some parts. So I'm just going to grab some parts at the very beginning. I have to minimize all your faces so I can actually see. I don't know if a Falcon, so some things are available. There are different, I'm using MKCAD. You definitely should look up how to install MKCAD. But motors, so under MKCAD, I pull out this flyout menu here, motors, and I am going to grab a Falcon. Please be on here. I haven't done this. Doesn't look like motors configurable. That looks like a Neo. Does anyone know if it doesn't?
It should be under motors, which is interesting. You don't see it.
Yeah. Do you?
What is I searched it through the search bar up top.
Okay.
I just typed Falcon, came right up.
Falcon.
That's so weird. I have it on my screen.
Hubs, pulleys. I'm wondering. Are you in the assembly?
Oh, I'm in an assembly right now. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the easiest way would be if it was just already here. All right. I haven't done this before, but just you guys may not be able to. You know what? You can just steal from other people. That's a way. So I'm sure the Falcon is available someplace in a public space. So we can pretty easily go to a derived part, go to other documents, and I could search public, and I can put in Falcon 500. Let's see if it's someplace. If that looks like it's it's in here, but it's not super simple. What if I grab one of these? So the problem with the Falcon motor actually is that the motor you bring in is super complicated. So I don't really want to bring in the full complicated one. I'm just going to design Falcon from scratch, because we don't really need to have there. Wait, there will be some things in there that I do care about. Okay, so we're going to do the next thing, which is go to Vex Pro, Vex Robotics, and we're going to put in Falcon, and there is going to be a step file that we can just import. So CAD files, And Falcon power by, which we want the Rev 2 or Rev 3. Most of our motors are Rev 2, I believe.
Yeah, Rev 3 is the slightly bigger one.
So I'm just going to grab the Rev 2. It's downloaded, and now I go back to my folder here. I down here, so I can't import it until I have to first make a tab, this here, and I choose import. So I go to this little plus sign and choose import, and there's that Falcon step motor. And I'm going to put everything into a single file. So there it is. It's thinking. Eventually, there will be a thing called CAD imports. And also, so if CAD imports has like the initial, it has some kind of, I'm not sure what information is in these files, but it will make a tab here someplace when it's done thinking. Eventually, you'll see that a tab will show up that will have the Falcon motor in it. So that's one thing we needed. We need to get the Falcon in. We also need to get in, let's get in one of our standard bearings. So I think I've made it one of my favorites. No, I haven't. So we want to use, let's use a 1/2" hex bearing. So I'm looking for my 1/2" flanged hex. That one looks good. I'm going to put one of those in. It just is going to pop it into the middle of the assembly. I'll move it later, but I just want to get one in. And then I think we ought to use for yeah, we can just use this bearing. This bearing will be our bearing for, it'll be the one we'll use for all of them. So meanwhile, as I was dancing around talking, notice this folder, this file just came up, showed up. I don't like to have all of the things I import in my just in my main assembly tab. So I'm just gonna move that over and put it into the CAD import. So now if you look, it's sitting here in that file in addition to this file that I don't know what it does. But anyway, that's what a Falcon motor looks like. And so now in order to get back to my other tabs, I have to hit this home button over here. And then I can, let's name the part studio. We're going to call it Falcon. Okay. And all right. So now, well, what happened to that? So first of all, if you look at what they import, there are just hundreds and hundreds of little parts. They have, can you see how as I scroll on this side here, it highlights the part. They've got the ball bearings, the literal balls inside the ball bearing. Like, who does that? We don't want all those things. So in fact, let's go in and only grab the things that I really want. So the things I want are this, that's that part, and that, and that. So those are all the parts that, oh wait, I also want the output shaft. So those are all the parts that I want. If I make those go away, so right click, or I can just go over here, I made hide. So all of those things are things that, like, they're just nonsense things that I don't want. Wait a minute, what happened to them? Oh, okay. So I don't want all those parts. I want all those to, not only do I want them like gone. So I'm going to highlight them all, and I'm going to just hit my delete key. And they should all disappear as soon as it's done thinking, because there's so many junky parts in here. Right click, delete. Delete parts. And now I can grab all of these and I can make them show up. And now I've got a much simpler version of of the Falcon, and it's something that I can deal with more easily. So, in fact, let's call this. Yeah, that's fine. We'll leave it as one thing. So now I'm gonna go back to my Falcon Gearbox, and I'm going to not import, sorry, I'm going to do a derived, and I'm going to bring a Falcon in. So I go to my current document, and I can select them individually, or I can just select the whole thing. And then as soon as it's done thinking, I can click on the OK button, and it will magically show up. So so now we've got the motor, and we've got our bearing, the two things that we want, the hex bearing and the motor. They're not in a good spot, so let's take and make something. Let's make a sketch that we're going to use to help derive it, and I want the sketch to be in front of all of these imports, so I can know where to put things in. So I like drawing on the top sketch. So we should let's make a sketch that will kind of like lay out where all of our gears and shafts and stuff are going to be. So we sketch on the top sketch, and we're going to put in just some circles that are going to kind of take up the things. Also, I don't like seeing these, so no, those are all gone. So we're going to draw some circles that are just going to mean, they're just going to represent like the pitch circles for the gears that we're going to use. So I'm just going to put them in a line. So I said it was going to be a two-stage something or other. So if you look how gearboxes work, I can draw. Let me draw here for a second, annotate. So the way gearboxes work is you have the motor is going to have a gear, and then there's going to be a thing we call the cluster gear that has two gears that are on the same shaft that go. So there's gear 1, there's gear 2, then there's gear 3. Gear 2 and 3 move together, and then there'll be another gear over here that will be my output shaft. And then the shaft will go out. So the general idea is we're going to make a box that will kind of look like this. It'll have a bearing. I'm just going to put X's in where I have my bearings. It'll have an X there and there and there and there. And then so this is my motor has an input. I have 2 gears on the same shaft, and then I have another setup. Now, how big are these gears? In first circles, it's very common for people to use what are called 20 DP gears, 20 diametral pitch. That's what that stands for, diametral pitch gears. That's very common. What that means, the diametral pitch is you take and you say, well, the pitch diameter, this little kind of circle I've drawn here, the pitch diameter, the PD is equal to the number of teeth divided by your diametral pitch. That's kind of a formula we use a lot. If you just go and grab the gears, they won't have, well, sometimes they have a pitch diameter, but not very often. But there's also, if you look at that, there are like teeth that look like this that go above and below that pitch diameter, right? So they're bigger and smaller, bigger and smaller. As it turns out, the part that goes above this circle, we call the addendum. You don't really have to need to know this, but it helps you. Addendum, I'm not even gonna write it all because I can't type very, so it's called the addendum, and the part that's below we call is the dedendum. So as it turns out, for gears, the addendum is 1 over the diametral pitch, and the dedendum is 1.25 over the diametral pitch. So we go a little bit bigger, 25% bigger down, so that the teeth, kind of the tooth that comes in has a little bit of a gap between them. So anyway, all that is to say that we kind of need to keep track of 3 things about a gear. We need to keep track of this diametral pitch, so we know how far to put them apart from each other, because the diametral pitches kind of, we imagine those are line to line on each other. And then the we need to keep track of like the root diameter and the OD. So I'm going to clear all of this nonsense now, and I'm going to just I'm going to save my well, we'll make the formulas as we want to do it. So I'm just going to make everything in this sketch is going to be a I need to get out of this mode so I can actually CAD again. So all of these things, this is gear 1, gear 2, gear 3, gear 4. Okay. So all of these things are going to be written as equations, so that we don't have to do anything. So I'm going to just start putting in numbers here, and I put in a pound sign, and I'm going to call it a new variable, and this new variable is going to be we're going to call it n year 1, and that value, well, the problem is I want to put a formula in for, well, no, the n, actually, I don't know what numbers are available inside of that go on a Falcon. Can somebody look that up for me? Can somebody look up how many? You can go here, you can find search, well, I'll just do it. Falcon. And tight fit Falcon accessories. Yes, so that looks good. And what are we talking about? They're 20 DP Falcon pinions. And what size do they come in?
So Joe, 8 to 14.
8 to 14. What's a common one? 10?
We use 10s a lot.
Let's use 10. Okay. Do we actually use 10 very often or not? Do we have them?
I think that's on the swerve drives.
Okay, so we'll use 10. That sounds fine. All right, so now I'm back here, and we're going to just put in the number 10. And we're going to call this, instead of a length, we're going to call it a number. Because if we make it a length, then in my formulas, it's going to freak out, because the formulas want it wants things. Oh, wait a minute. That isn't really what I really wanted. Sorry, I'm going to exit the sketch for a second, and I'm going to roll back up to here, and I'm going to make a new variable, because I should just have defined all these things beforehand. We're going to call this the DP, and we're going to say that turns out to be, this should just be a number also, and it's going to be 1 over 20. No, diametral pitch is 20. Yeah, 20. Okay. So yes, so now I've got my DP is 20, and now I can go back into my sketch. Sorry, and because I didn't want to have to define this. So now I've got this variable, and I'm going to edit this and say, wait a minute, the number of teeth divided by my DP. Yes, perfect. Okay. So there, that's the, and that makes sense because another way of thinking about the DP is the diametral pitch. So it's the number, the diametral pitch is like the number of teeth per, the diameter, there's an easier way of doing it when you do modules. I'm not diametral pitch 1 over the DP times the number of teeth. So anyway, so that's fine. 10 over 20 is 0.5. That seems perfect. We're going to, let's make some things horizontal here. I want this to be horizontal with that. And I want that to be horizontal with that. All right. And I want I want some tangents, this to be tangent with that, and that to be tangent with that. And now we're gonna just define all of our diametral pitches here. This one is going to be equal to a new variable. It's a number, and it's going to be n gear 2, and the value is going to be I don't know what say 40. 40 seems like a good number. So but then that isn't my diameter. My diameter is that divided by pound sign dp. All right, so now that's the first gear. Then the next set of gears, I'm going to just do this pound sign make it a new variable, make it a number, make that thing called n3, and gear 3, and we'll make that well, we also want it to be something we can buy. I think it's pretty easy to buy like a 20-tooth gear. I think so. So we can change these later. But then I want that to be divided by dp again. Okay, and then the next one, well, why don't we make it a 40 again? So here, pound sign, we'll make it n gear 4. And divided by, oh wait, I have to make it a new variable, sorry. Variable number. Let's make it 50. Why not? So then we'd have a 12-to-1 gearbox because we got a 4-to-1 in this one, and okay. So those are our. Now we've got our center distance. Notice everything is black, right? So this guy here is going to be our kind of master sketch for figuring things out. But what I would like to do is when we're gonna be designing things, we need to know, like, hey, how big of a room should we leave for the gear teeth and things like that. So I'm additional teeth around here. And I'm going to draw a circle, like some construction circles, so to keep us from getting confused. I'm going to draw just a bunch of circles that look like this. So one for every circle. And then I'm going to define the gap between there and there as 1 over d pound sign dp. Hit enter. So that's how big the teeth, that's how big the OD would be on this. I can do the same on all of these. Pound sign 1 over pound sign dp. I know this seems like it's just sort of boring setup work, but it's going to make our future things very easy to like change when we want to do things in the future. All right, and from there to there. 1 divided by pound sign. Okay. So now, that looks like a perfectly beautiful sketch that will tell us where to put other things. I'm going to change the name of this, call it gear setup sketch. Okay. So now we can go down and we can put things where we want them to be. So what I'm going to propose we do now is let's start putting our pieces where we think we want the pieces to be. So somebody look up like what are typical thicknesses of gears. So we're, you know, like when we imagine things, we're going to kind of have a, well, we'll have a bearing here, we'll have a, or we could actually import the gears, I guess. Yeah, why don't we could do that too. So, all right. So the next thing to do is let's move this motor to the right spot. So the beautiful thing about this, there's a transform button here. So we're going to transform, and then we're going to use, what are we going to transform? Well, we're going to transform all of these bits from here to here, U and U. So I've got all of them, and I'm not going to translate by line. I'm going to transport by a mate connector. And we're going to say, I want the front of this guy. So that was, if you noticed, as I hit this, there's like a icon. See, that's the first one. And we want it to go up to that pitch circle there. Boom. All right. And we're going to move the part, everything. It's thinking, but it should move it. And that's like, yeah, that is kind of what we wanted. Let's do that. So now, I mean, we're going to kind of have to imagine that. Let me blank this for a little bit, this gear. So we're going to have to imagine that we're going to have a housing that this is going to be peeking through, and we'll have to be able to get access to these screws to hold this in. And then we're going to want a bearing. If you think about where we want bearings, if you remember when I go back to drawing, you know, we're going to have a motor sitting here, and the motor is going to have a gear on it. It's going to have that 10-tooth thing that we're going to put on. And then we're going to have a shaft come through from this side, but there's, I'm going to draw, let me draw a housing. So there's going to be some kind of a housing that this is going to fit into. And maybe the bottom has something like this. So we're going to need to put a bearing here to hold that shaft, and a bearing here to hold this shaft. And we should probably put it, I'll draw them in green, with the flange side coming in like this so that it can't go anywhere. And we'll do that same trick we did where we end up kind of recessing it and having this kind of a screw hold it in. Can we do that? I guess we don't have to. We don't have to, because what we could do is when we put the gears in, we could put the gears in and then put a spacer in that would kind of keep it from falling out. Yeah, I could be convinced that we could do it either way. Let's not hold it in right now. You know what? We'll recess it and we can decide later if we want to hold it in or not. That's fine. We just won't hold it in. And then we have another gear on that same shaft. And maybe we'll need to have some spacers in and some spacers here to hold that. And then we have, oh, I've run out of room, but imagine if this was longer. Then we'll need another bearing. I'm going to draw it small, sitting here, and another bearing sitting here, sitting in here like this. And then we'll have a shaft come out, and then we'll have our last gear living that like that. That's, I mean, I've really scrunched everything together, but that's notionally where we're going to want things. So we're gonna want, what I'm trying to get at is we're gonna want a bearing here and a bearing here. And then we're gonna want a bearing kind of, this way, sitting down over here, and another bearing sitting this way over here. And then I guess we want the output shaft to go through the whole thing. The output shaft is going to be on this side, and we want this to be blind holes so that the shafts don't fall out. So we have to have enough room of the blue plastic to hold that in. Anyway, so what I was going to say is we could start placing these. We could start placing these bearings in place so that we could see where things are. Yes, let's do that. Let's put the bearing in where we want the bearing to be. And then we can see where we're going with the next thing. So I'm going to do clear all my drawings, go back into mousing. Okay, so I've moved one thing and I've done a lot of talking. So why don't we pick somebody who wants to take this drawing? You're going to have to find this Falcon Gearbox in my directory, and you're going to have to be able to open it. And then, well, it looks like I've hidden it. I want to see if somebody can move this to the right spot on here. I think it's going to take 2 moves the way we have it, because yeah, we're going to want to have that. We should, yeah, anyway, so let's think about how we want to do that. So anyways, there's somebody willing to, let me be able to see all you folks again. Is there anybody still with me that would be interested in trying to do the move of this part that we put in? Zachariah, you usually are up for trying things. No? All right, so I'm going to stop sharing, and somebody else is going to, so how do I stop sharing? I get out of that, I stop sharing here, somebody else share. Zachariah or Carolyn or Nathaniel, who's up?
I at the moment don't have a working laptop,
Ah.
so yeah, I broke my charger and it won't charge.
All right.
So I just come in to watch the meeting to see how the progression goes.
Carolyn or Zachariah?
I'll try.
Okay. All right. So share your you'll do it. We'll have 2 of them, and then I'm gonna yeah, so and then we'll get them, we'll try to get them where we want them to be. So all right. So find my folder.
Is it this?
Yep, 2-stage Falcon Gearbox. Yep. Okay, so when we try to use move, once we get into the moving icon, so hang on, let me, will I be able to annotate? Yes, I can annotate. All right, I'm in red. So the move part is this feature here. As soon as you go into that, you're going to be in the mode where it's asking you for different things. Pay attention. It's blue right now. So it's saying, hey, what is it you would like to move, right? So what is it we would like to move? How are we going to select the bearing? So you can just click on the bearing right there. Your mouse, just mouse over it and click on it. Okay, so see, as soon as you clicked, it showed up here. Right, and now it's asking you, so you can continue to click other things, but we're only doing 1, so that's fine. Okay, actually, why don't you go over here and let's get rid of the motor for right now, because we don't really want that. So just highlight okay, so in the model tree, you can, down where the parts are listed, you can grab those 4 parts and like turn that little eye, poke them in the eye, and they'll disappear. Poke, keep going down. Poke, poke, poke. Okay. Now you can appreciate why it's so much better to have just 4 parts as imagine if I had left all those ball bearings and everything in there, like, we have to select 15 parts every time we want to make this motor go away. So 4 is a lot better than 15. Okay, or 30 or whatever it was. All right, so now those are out of our way. And now, okay, so now we need to go over here, the transfer by. You could transfer by line. If there was a line that was like, that went from here to here, and you're like, hey, I want this thing to move exactly as far as that line in the direction of that line. You could select a line and then it would move in the direction of that line. But very uncommon for us to use that. The most common way of moving it are 2 ways. The first one is using mate connectors, and the second way is moving in a particular XYZ, looking at the coordinate system up here. You can say move 2 millimeters in Z and 5 inches in X and nothing in Y or something like that. So those are the 2 common ways. Let's just go in and select the mate collector way. Okay, select by mate connector. Now, this is the one that you pick the from, and then you pick the to. So you're like, hey, what would I like it to do? Well, I would like it to go from where it is to this spot right here. So you would like this spot, this circle here, to be on the center of that circle. So now as you're highlighting it, can you see it's kind of like putting a kind of a temporary highlight? So if it were me, I would flip this over so I could really see the bottom side, because you really want to see things from the bottom. Yeah, there we go. Now you can highlight, if you highlight this edge right here, you'll see a mate connector show up right in the middle, right there, okay? And you can pay attention to that the Z is oriented the direction you want it to be. That's the thing we really want that Z to be our kind of like lined up with our axis. So just as you're selecting things, you're going to want to kind of line up the Z's. All right, so that's good. All right, you picked the first one you picked. All right, and now it's automatically gone to the second one, and we want to put it up here on that. Yeah, so you can now, yeah, pick, that's fine. Right, pick one of those circles, and can you see which way the Z is going? Yeah, that looks good. That's the way I want it to be. So pick one of those circles. All right, now it looks like, damn it, it did the wrong thing. And it lined up the Z's, but it has this little arrow over here that lets you, hang on, I'm back in mouse mode. I can't click. This arrow here lets you flip it. So you want to flip it. Boom. Okay. And you know what? We're going to put several of them here. So let's leave this one where it was born and put copy part right here. And it's going to leave the old one, and it's just going to make a new one for us. And we're going to click OK. Okay, so now we've done it, except, you know what? Now let's turn the motor back on. Go back over here and turn the motor. Let's be able to see all the motors. Okay, let's look from the side. Give me a front view of this. Okay, I think, remember we're going to have this axle come through here, and we're going to need some plastic on the bottom side of this axle so that it doesn't want to squirt out that way. Okay, so in order to put some plastic, I think I would like to have, let's say, 1/8 of an inch. I would like to have, so imagine there's going to be this plastic here, and we're going to make it, it's going to be super thick plastic, right? And, you know, maybe down the line we'll thin it up, but I want, when this thing is installed, I want there to be like 1/8 of an inch of plastic that's holding my bearing in, my shaft in. So let's move this guy, and we're going to move it the second most common way. All right, the second most common way, and that's good. We're going to move in a direction, and we're going to say, let's move in that Z direction there. Okay, so let me clear all again, and you're going to do another transform, and you're going to transform, and you're going to move that part. You're just going to kind of scooch it up a little bit.
So is it this one?
From an XYZ, right? Exactly. And now you have to make sure you look at this over here, and you're like, all right, which way am I really trying to make it go? I want it to move up in Z, and just put in like 1/8 of an inch in there. Okay. And then you need to click on somewhere else or hit enter or something. Oh, we haven't picked what? We haven't picked what? It's still thinking, what would you like to move, please? So just pick the bearing. Bing.
It's not letting me. I don't know why.
It's not like you. So hit this X button right there just so that that warning goes away. It's not letting you click that. If you click right there, it's not letting you do it.
No.
Well, try and click right there instead, down on the model tree instead.
It says like preparing transform right here.
Okay. So it's thinking. That's fine. Thinking is okay. It's like trying to give you a preview of what it's planning on doing. I sometimes, if it goes into this too long, if it does this, it does that spinny bit too long, I sometimes just give up and like down here, I just refresh the page. But we'll see. I'm going to say it's probably worth doing a refresh the page. Okay, let's look and make sure it didn't already do it. It does have two transforms. Okay, so let's edit this transform here. Right click, edit. Yep. No, we want to not modify that one. We wanted, oh wait. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I was mistaken. The first one was the motor transform. That's fine. So the second one, no, we don't want to change this one. Leave this one alone. We want to do another transform, a new transform. Yep. Pick the part. Just click right there. Yep, it's got it. Translate by now translate by Z. Yep. Put in a 1/8. And we don't want to copy part, we want to actually move it. Yep, click OK. Cool. All right. All right. So you are now an expert at moving this. All right, let's do the next one. Zachariah, why don't you do the exact same thing, only let's do it with the other bearing. Okay. So what do we do first? First, let's just get it over and on top of this bearing, this spot here.
Where?
So we need to, first of all, we need to do transform. Hang on, I have to get back into my annotate mode. I'm nothing without my red pen. So we want to use this guy here. Okay. And it's asking you, what would you like to transform? That bearing. Yes.
I'm clicking on it. It won't like. It says preparing to transform.
Ooh, we're in the same mode that you were in. Do we want to wait or do we want to try and do a refresh? Let's try and do a refresh. It usually doesn't take that long to, oh wait, you didn't share your, if you refresh the screen. Okay, so now go back and just do a new transform. Yep, good.
Yeah.
We want to transform by mate connector, first of all. Okay, let's get rid of the motor. Remember, we have to go back and hide all these motor parts because otherwise it's kind of tricky. Good. All right, leave that one on, right? And then now
Yep.
flip it over so we can see, we want to be able to make sure we're selecting the right part. So flip the whole CAD over so we can see the bottom side of this. Yep, that's good. All right, and then pick this edge here. All right, do you see the mate connector being shown, being picked? If you so it's giving you of a selection of where's the mate, like if you just highlight down here instead, you'll see that the mate connector that's showing up is way down in the part. We don't want that one. We want the one that's the very top. So you pick the one, you pick the edge in the very top right. Click that, and then click that circle there. Good. Now it's upside down. So we need to do our standard thing here. Good. And then I think let's do a copy part instead of let's leave it where we had it so we can have it for later. Okay, good. All right, that's good. Click OK. All right, now how do we move it up? Because let's look at the side view. Go back and look at the front view here. Click on the front view so we can. All right, so we want, we're done with this guy, so let's hide this guy over here, hide it. Yep, good. Now we want this guy to go up. What should we do? We want to do a transform again. Okay, we want to transform this part. And we want to do it not by line, but we want to do it by click here. We want to do it by X, Y,
translate
Z.
by XYZ.
Yep. And we want to go Z1/8. You can put in 125, you can put in 1/8, you could put, 3 point blah 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 millimeters divided by whatever. You can put in whatever you want in there.
Did I press the OK button?
Is that this looks like 18. .125.
Oh, point.
There, that looks good. Click OK. All right, so now let's turn back on the motors. Everything except for that gear, right? Or that sprocket, or I'm sorry, that bearing. Get rid of that guy. We don't like that guy. Good. All right, turn off that guy.
Oh.
Why do you keep doing it, turning it on and off, on and off?
It's kind of like freezing sometimes.
Okay. All right. There's a very convenient way you can actually do a thing. If you were to right click on this hidden gear, right click on this, you can here, go right here, put your cursor like right, sorry, I'm not in the drawing mode. Sorry, draw. If you put your cursor right here, you can hit Shift Y and it'll appear. Shift Y. And if you hit Y, it'll disappear. Okay, so you can make things appear and disappear. You can also go over here and you can right click and you can say show all parts if you wanted to. Right click. Right click. You can hit show all parts, or you can hide all parts. So anyway, that's a very convenient show all, like you can show all sketches, hide all sketches. show all planes, hide all planes. It's a very convenient sort of a shortcut. Okay, so now we want to build a big thick piece of plastic that goes, you know, that fills up this space. All right, and then it should actually like allow us to fit our gears in. So let's look back at the top view, go back to the top view. So a common thing that we do in gearboxes is we get the gear ratios wrong. And we oftentimes would say, hey, if only I could make the gear, this gear smaller, like this gear smaller and this gear bigger, you know, or if I could maybe make this gear smaller and this gear bigger. So we don't want to, let's not make this gearbox be too constraining. So I think what we should probably do is have a gearbox that kind of goes around here, and then we just should give ourselves some space around, like let's make it look kind of like a teardrop. That's a terrible drawing, but anyway, so you know that feels like the kind of thing that we want to do to fill that space, and then we'll end up putting the holes in to hold things and all of that. So who wants to, how would we make this big kind of teardrop? I'm going to draw it over here. So we've got, this is the gear. I'm going to make something that's a little bit bigger than the gear or something like that. You know, what would we do in order to make that big slab that I'm talking about? What's the procedure in CAD for making that happen? Anyone? Well, whenever we want to make a 2D thing, what's our most common way of doing it? We draw a square, we then extrude the square. We draw a circle, we extrude the circle, right? So what's the next step if we wanted to make this big slab, this big thing I'm talking about?
We make a new sketch.
We make a new sketch, right? We don't have to put it on the plane that we're going to use, but it seems like that would be a smart thing to do. So what plane should we use?
The top plane.
We could use the top plane. We could use the plane of the motor here. We could, if we wanted to, we could, if you give me the bottom view, we could use like the underside of that. We could draw on this plane, you know, on those planes, and then extrude in. It doesn't really matter too much. The top plane feels like a good one. Why don't we do that? Okay. All right. So let's let's start drawing. What have we selected the top plane? There, that's the top plane. All right, so now we just want to draw, I think we just want to draw a couple of circles, and then we want to draw some straight lines that go in between those and have them be tangent, 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 and then we'll cut these out. Okay. So first thing we should draw is just draw a couple of circles. You're right in that they don't even have to be anywhere near the parts where we can move them to where we want them to be eventually. Okay, that's good. How are we going to do tangents? We need to go over and do this guy here. And we just click on, there. Now, did you see that it made actually for it, stop and do that again. Break the string. Okay, and do it again, but do it slowly. Okay, so you're clicking there. Can you see the icon comes up and says left on that, right? See we don't want the horizontal, but we do want the we only want the on the, drag it to over here now. And as you go, you can have it be like on the part, or you can have it be, no, we don't like that. I don't even, does anyone know what this is this tool used for anything useful? Brad, do you ever use that tool? I hate that tool. I don't
Very
wanna be in
specific
that mode.
applications.
Huh?
For very specific applications, it's not very useful.
I
Overall.
don't use that tool. So anyway, we just want to break the string and start over. And then, okay, so there you're on the part, and then you can make it just move up a little more, move up and to the right, up and to the right. And if you touch it in the right spot, it'll assume that you want tangent. Go up more like it's tangent, like click more like up here. And you see the tangent line will show up. Okay, now break the string. Break the string, come out over here, click on this button right here. And then click on it again. Okay, and then do the bottom one. Okay, good. All right, now break the string. Let's get out of this mode. And we want to make them tangent. So the tangent, this is the tangent tool over here. So we want to make, you just got to click on the circle and click on the line. Good. Circle. Line, other line. You've already done that one. And then now you've got to do the other two. One, boom, 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 boom. Okay, perfect. All right, now we can use the cutting tool, this tool, and we can cut those out. You can click on them, or you can literally just drag a line. You can drag your cursor over the end of them. Okay, don't do anything more because we don't want anything else gone. Okay, so now what we want is we want to do things like saying, I wish this was, we want to use the concentric tool now. All right. So we want to say that this thing should be concentric with the circle at the root of that guy. Or we could actually use our sketch if we wanted to. Like if we hide the motor, like here, let's get rid of all the parts. Clear all. Go right click here, right click on any part, right click over here, right click, and then hide all parts. So nice. Okay. You did an undo, so let's grab this. You want to get rid of that. Hang on a minute. I'm in the drawing mode again. Draw. You want to use the cut tool here.
Oh.
Cut and then drag. Okay, good. All right, now that's good. And so now you want to use the concentric tool. You want this to be concentric with this. Good. And then you want this to be concentric with that.
With this?
That one should be concentric with this one. Good. All right. And now you can drag this thing. So get out of this concentric line and you can drag this out because we want it to be big. Remember the reason. Yes. And then you want this one to also be big. Drag. Well, actually, it doesn't matter. You can just start dimensioning something. So I happen to know that that 2.5 inches is a good number for the Falcon, but we can turn the Falcon back on if we wanted to. So you go over here, right click, turn all of them back on. Right click, show all parts. Good. Okay, so now we want to dimension. Where's your dimension tool? I don't know where your dimension, there it is. We want to dimension this guy to be 2.5 over 2. I forgot it's a circle, so we have to do like 1.25.
What am I dimensioning?
This arc right here. Got to drop it someplace. drop it off, drop it down here so we can see it when we're, yeah, when it's done. Yeah, good. Make it 1.25. Yep. Good. All right, and then how big do we want this gear to be? What's the biggest gear we can imagine this being? Well, if we, let's draw a construction circle. So draw a circle and draw that. There's no way we could ever have a gear be any bigger, like the gear can never be so big that it would hit that sprocket, right? You know, you understand, like if it hits that shaft, we're doing it wrong. So if you draw a circle starting right here, draw a circle right on that dot, right on that dot, right on that dot, not there.
Where?
Hang on, Claire. I want to make a construction line that starts as a construction circle that goes from here to almost there, just so I can see how big this thing really can be. Yep. Then you click on the center of the circle first. Center of the circle first.
Right here?
No, right here.
Oh.
Drag it out, drag it out, drag it out, drag it out, drag it out. And you want it to be out like tangent to this line here.
Right around here?
No, this red line that I'm just drawing horizontal. Tangent to that. Tangent to that. Do you not see this line? Here, I'll make it yellow. The yellow line. Well, now it's in the wrong spot. Hang on, clear all. The biggest gear you could have can only be that big. Do you understand what I mean? Because if it's any bigger than that, it's going to hit the shaft. So drop it like right there. Drop it there. Drop. Click. Good. All right. So that's the biggest we could possibly want this. The gear couldn't be any bigger than that gear. So we want to have this one here. This yellow is a bad number. So we want this guy to be kind of just a little bit outside of that. So we can be sure that we want to have like a wall thickness. Like, let's imagine that's like 1/8 of an inch. So I don't know, we can dimension this to whatever it is, but when to our eyes, it ought to be something like there where I just drew this. Okay. So put a dimension in and we'll just keep playing with the dimension until it's about where that line is. This one, you're dimensioning this guy. Okay, you're dimensioning it, so dimension it. Give us a number. Yes. It's saying it's 3 and you want it to be here. What do you think would be a good guess? Is 7 a good guess?
No.
No, 7 would be bigger. Is 1 a good guess? No, 1 is down here.
Probably 2.
Okay, let's try it. Okay, 2. Oh, it turns out that's perfect, right? Pretty close to perfect, like just where I said the thing is. You understand what I mean? So we're going to we're going to make something that will have a wall around. Remember, we're trying to make a box and we have to have room for a gear that might be as big as your dashed line, right? And then it'll kind of come in like that. Okay, so I think that's the slab we wanted to build, right? Clear all? Okay, so now let's extrude it. And what are we going to extrude it to?
Mm-hmm.
We want to extrude a solid. Okay, and we want a new part, right? And we want to extrude that sketch that we just did. Now we don't want to do it blind. We want to do it to a instead of this, we want to say up to face. Okay, and what's the face we want to go up to? Give us a side view so we can see what we're making. Okay, Now, you can argue two things. You could either say it should be this face, and then the flange would stick up. Or at one point I said maybe we'd bury the flanges in the plastic. So why don't we do that? Why don't we go all the way up to that wall right there, the top of the bearing. No, not the edge of the bearing, the top of the bearing.
This,
First of all, get rid of it. And we want to do this that surface there. Good. Okay, click OK. All right, so now you should stop sharing and let's get Carolyn involved. And you are going to do some archaeology for us. All right, now you are going to actually dig out all of you're going to carve out of this all of the bits that we need in order to make everything work. Okay?
Okay.
So the first thing we need to do is we need to like make the motor fit. Okay, because right now there's nothing, it's just this kind of teardrop shaped thing and the motor shaft doesn't go through. So in order to make the motor work, let's start working on the opposite side. First of all, let's hide all of the sketches. We don't need those anymore. So go to just pick any line on, oh, I got to get into, sorry, I'm not in my drawing mode. Annotate. Okay, so pick any line in the sketch. Pick any line and right click on it. Any line. Yep, that's a line in a sketch, and you can say hide all sketches. So much more relaxing, right? Okay, so now let's go to a top view. Click over here, and we can now be in a nice top view. Okay, so let's sketch on here. The first thing is let's just put it turns out I happen to know this by heart. It's 0.75 inches, right? So you just want to like put a hole that's 0.75 inches right on top of that, okay? Now you could, in fact, what we could do, in fact, let's do it this way. Let's hide part 8. I know, well, first of all, no, let's pick the sketch. The sketch surface should be the top surface. So you're in that, just pick right there. Yep, right there, click. Now it's using that as your thing, and now hide it. It seems counterintuitive, but the thing we're gonna like cut out of, we don't want it because it's offending us. Also, why did I ever leave that bearing there? Let's move that bearing. So hide that bearing also. The top, it's this one. All right, good. So now, all right, what do we want to do? Let's grab, you know what? To be better than just, we could grab the part, we could grab the surface, the edge, but let's actually give a little offset to the edge here, right? We're going to choose that function there, offset to the edge. And now you got to tilt the sketch a little bit so we can actually see the part we want to get. And you want to grab that little curve right down in there. There, perfect, right? Click. All right, and now what is it doing? If you look at it, see, it's trying to draw a circle that's inside. Can you see where this arrow is? See that arrow? And we don't want it to draw the arrow inside. We want it to be a little bit bigger. So drag that arrow to the outside. And as soon as it's outside, then just click OK. Just hit enter. And now it's going to say, what would you like it to be? And let's make it 0.02, 0.002 of an inch, right? Bigger, and click enter. So that's actually 4 thousandths of an inch bigger on the diameter. That's actually kind of big, but it'll be fine. All right. So that's all we have to do. And now let's just extrude. We're going to extrude through. Sorry, there's the extrude key. All right. And what are we're going to remove. And what are we going to remove from? We're going to remove, first of all, we're going to go through all because that's what good people do. They do a through all when they mean through all because we might change the number for some later thing. And what is it saying? It's assuming we want it to go through that part. Well, heck no, we don't want it to go through that part. Get rid of that. Click down there. And we want it to go through part 8, which we're going to rename as housing base. but we'll do that after we get this done. So then we click OK. And now let's show this part and we'll see if good things happen to us. Ah, look at that. Pretty good, right? So we've done the first part of digging out this thing. Now, we actually need to like put some holes for the these holes here. And we could go and grab them, but this is just something this motor is so common, you should just kind of know what to do on this by itself. So I'm just going to tell you to go in and draw a sketch, a new sketch. Well, you know what? No, we want to use holes on this one. So we're going to use the hole tool on this. So you should again sketch on this surface here. And now we're going to use this polygon tool. And we're going to go into the mode of just a reference sketch. Okay, so now draw the polygon however you want to. Just click and drag it out. Yep. And then drop it however you want to drop it. And then make sure it's got 6 sides. And click OK. All right, so good. That's excellent. Now all we have to do is we need it to be concentric. With what? Why, with that edge right there, it seems like to me, right? So that circle, and click on that edge. Good. All right, that's good. And then, as it turns out, the distance from here to here should be 2 inches. Not the circle. So actually, let's do it over again because we want to choose a different. Let's undo and get rid of the thing that we just made. Undo again. Let's draw a different. Let me clear my nonsense again. Use the drop down. Use this drop down here. And use the circumscribed polygon. And then do it over again. Just do the exact same thing over again. If you want to, you could highlight this. And then, well, actually, it's not going to work very well. If you hit the motor, it would work perfect. But the motor shaft is going to probably cause you grief. So yeah, just draw it anywhere in space. You'll be better off drawing it anywhere in space. Good. All right. And then click OK, and then make them concentric again. That circle and that edge. Good. And then make the now you don't have to worry about like going from point to point. You can just dimension that circle right there and make it 2 inches. Okay, good. Now, why isn't it black yet? Anybody? It's still got blue. What's wrong with it? Let's get out of the drawing, out of that mode. What haven't we fully defined yet? If you want to try, you can just grab something that's blue and try and move it around and see if you can discover it that way. You see? We haven't defined we haven't clocked the circle, the holes yet. You understand?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So now let's go back to our top view so we can see what's horizontal and all that. It feels to me like we're going to need, all we really need are two bolts, right? All we really need are 2 bolts. So we could either make like a line that would be like a horizontal like this, and it would be a hex, so that the points would be that way. Or we could make this one vertical. So you can pick whichever way you want to go. So so we want to use the horizontal or the vertical tool. Okay, and magically now they're black. All right. And now we get out of the sketch mode. And instead, we're going to use the hole tool now. And we're going to make, they're going to be through all holes instead of blind. And instead of custom, They're gonna be ANSYS is the non-metric ones. And we want to choose 10, number 10. And free is fine. Yep. If you really care, you can make it close, but we don't really care. So now now it's asking, like, here it's blue. Hey, what do you want me to cut these holes into? Like, where do you want the holes to be? And so you should go in and click all of these little dots. And this one we won't do because it's just going to be in the middle of nowhere. Good. All right. And then click OK. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on a minute. Can you go back in and look at that one? Go edit this guy again. Here, this is wrong. We don't want it to go through everything. We just really want it to go through part 8. So get rid of the ones that aren't part 8. Yes, that's good. And then remind me, we need to call part 8 gear housing or something like that. Let's rename this guy.
What do you want it named?
I don't know. Gear housing sounds like a good name for me. And also it kind of offends me that it's not a pretty color. So let's make it some other. Right click on gear housing. And let's assign a material to it. Just put in nylon. Just type that. We'll go down here instead of none and type in nylon. Any kind of nylon is fine. Nylon, glass filled, anything. Yeah, either one, doesn't matter. And then click OK. And then, so now we've assigned a material. Now so now the weight would be right. We know how much it would weigh if we wanted to use this tool down here to find out how much this thing would weigh, right? But we also want it to look a different color. So yeah, so now that we've assigned a material, it's telling us, you can click, you haven't select that part, click there. And it would say this part would weigh 1/3 of a pound. Okay, I can live with that. All right, so let's X out of this guy. And now let's assign a color to this. Right click, assign appearance. And pick a color that isn't white or clear or something like that. Ah, so nice. Excellent. All right, click OK. All right, so let's dig out one of these bearings, and then we will kick it over to Zechariah, and he will dig up the second bearing. So let's do a section. All right, so in order to make this be easier, just to see what we're talking about, let's do a section. There's a command called Control X, Shift X, not Control X, Shift X, and it brings up and it says, hey, pick something that you want to do. And I would say use the model tree and pick, I think it's the front plane. Go up and just drag that guy up. And there we go. That's the plane, the front plane. Nope, not that one. That one. Yes, beautiful. Click on that guy. And then click OK. And now let's look at it and see what we're doing. All right, so you can see what we're trying to dig out. You see? We're trying to dig out this thing, but we want to leave the wall, right? We want to dig out something like that, out of this. All right, and so the easiest way to do it is to put a sketch on here and to do that offset curve. Remember when we did the offset curve, we can offset by the flange. It doesn't matter if it was a little bit big, so you could go off by 5 or 10 thousandths or something like that. Anyway, so now you can actually stay sketching in this mode just to see that everything still worked. Okay, so what sketch plane do you want? Why, you want that guy.
X.
So sketch plane here, you want to pick that plane. You want to pick the top. We're gonna dig down from the top. Yeah, click here, click that. Do you see what I'm saying? You want to click. You want the sketch plane, you're gonna end up having to make a bunch of sketches that you're gonna dig down in. You're gonna like, do you see what I'm proposing?
Yeah.
So the sketch plane, it's asking you which sketch plane do you want? You want it to be the top of your part. You not understand? I'm just not wondering if I'm not saying it right, because you can see
I'm a
this is,
little bit confused. So is it like this like part right here?
yeah, so we're going to take and you know what, let me do one and then you can do the second one, okay?
Okay.
So I'm gonna just you stop sharing and then I'll stop sharing because I think we've okay, so let me share my screen, good. Okay, so here's the part. I am way behind, so I'm going to fill in. Why isn't it showing all the parts? Getting boring. All right. So now this is the part. I'm going to hit Shift X and I'm going to choose the front plane just because I want to be able to see that I'm doing the right thing. I don't need to see the whole thing all at once. I can know that I'm only working on half of it. And now I'm going to take and make a sketch. And it's saying, hey, what sketch plane would you like? Well, I would like to draw on that sketch plane. Thank you. And then what am I going to do? Well, I want to use this little offset tool. And I'm going to, well, first of all, it's annoying to have the part I'm drawing on, like making it hard for me to see all of the parts I want to grab. So I'm going to make this guy go away. I'm eventually going to dig into that part, but I don't need to see it right now. And so I'm in the offset mode. I'm going to offset that guy. How much should I offset it by? Well, I don't know. So I'm going to say 0.01, 10,000ths of an inch. Seems fine, right? 10,000ths of an inch. Looking at it, that's like, yeah, that looks like a perfectly good gap. And now that's my whole sketch. I'm going to get rid of that sketch or I'm going to exit that sketch. And now I'm going to extrude. What am I going to extrude? The thing I'm going to extrude is that sketch I just did. I'm going to do a remove and I'm not going to go blind. I'm going to go up to face. And then this is why I made that thing disappear so that I could grab that guy. And what am I going to use? The merge scope, I'm going to say is that guy. I click here. And now I'll show it and you'll see that the red has disappeared because, hang on a minute. Part of the red has disappeared because I put a hole in some of it. I've done what I call dig it out, right? I've dug out the first part of it, right? And now I just need to then dig out the last part of it. And so how much do we want that to go in? So, you know, we just say, what are we going to do? We repeat it. We just say sketch, pick that plane. That's the plane I want. I make this guy go away. I'm going to make this, I'm going to use my same favorite tool. I'm going to offset this one. I want to be tight. So I'm only going to go off by like 1,000, right? 0.001. So that one is going to be a pretty tight hole. Probably would have to force it in, but we don't really care if we have to force it in because we don't really want it coming out. Oh, sorry, it did its, no, I'm out of the sketch. Now I go in, I remove what sketch I want to remove from that sketch. I'm going to have it be through, no, not through. I'm going to have it go up to face. What face am I going to have it go up to? I'm going to have it go up to that face. And I'm not going to make that part go in. I'm going to make it go, I'm going to take it out of the gear housing. And this one, I'm going to make it go a little bit deeper than that because I want the flange to decide how far it goes in, not this here. So I'm going to do an offset distance. now I need to be able to see my part, because when I see it, I wanted to know that I'm at the right spot. Offset distance, that's too far. 0.0, I don't know. A half a millimeter seems like a good number. So I can look at it and say, does that look like it's enough? Yeah, that looks like it's plenty, right? And then I'm going to do one more thing. And the one more thing is, I hate it when I can't get a bearing out that I pushed into a hole. So I'm going to put 2 holes in this part. I'm going to get out of this mode. I'm going to do another sketch. It's just going to be a very quick sketch. And I'm going to do it on this plane. And I'm going to just draw 2 circles. Hang on a minute, that bearing needs to disappear so I can see the hole I want to do. I'm going to do 2
Sorry
circles.
to interrupt, but I have to go.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's time to go. Shoot. Sorry, guys. So I'm just going to draw 2 circles very quickly, right? And I'm where is this? Make it be on the top so everything is horizontal. I would like to draw a line. Hang on a minute. I'm going to do some goofy things here. I'm going to draw a line from that to that center of that hole. Sorry, I'm going to make this hole, that thing come up into the thing here. And then I'm going to go horizontal. I'm going to choose that and that. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Control Z, vertical. I'm going to choose that and that, make it vertical, and that, make it vertical. And then I have to do put that on that circle and put that on that circle and put a dimension. Where's the dimension? Quick. So that dimension, I don't know, make it 1/8 of an inch is enough to be able to, like, oh, and then I got to make these 2 equal. That and that are equal. Okay. And then I'm just going to go through all. Remove, merge scope is that, through all. One gear housing, through all. So, yep, that's good. All right, so this will let us, now if I put the bearing back on, this will let us, like, when we want to take this thing apart, we can take and put a little screwdriver or something and push it out, right? So we can do that. So we're beyond the end of the class. What I would suggest you guys do is you can make a copy of this. And you can, well, actually, you guys could just keep working on this, right? We should make another hole that looks just like, hey, what happened to my, hang on a minute, where did my holes go? Oh, they're hidden by the bearing. Sorry, they're still there. Yes, they're still there. Yeah, but because I've got these holes here, I can push out this bearing. So anyway, so if we could do, you could do this exact same thing to dig out this bearing. And then the next thing would be to put in a wall here, you know, very quickly to build a wall. I mean, it would be pretty straightforward to be, I'll do it and then I'll undo it so you can do it quickly. I can just say, I can do a sketch. I'm going to grab that surface. So now, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I'm in that mode. So now I've got, I just grabbed, if I hide this gear housing, you see, I've made that. And then I can do an offset and I can say from there to there, to there, to there. And I'll drag it to the inside and I can say 0.0, may have made 1/8 inch wall. And we click OK and we extrude it. And maybe we extrude it up. I don't know if it's going to be an inch, inch and a half. I'm not sure how tall we'll need this to be, but we'll just say an inch for now. It's new. No, it isn't. It's going to be an add. And we're merging it with that guy. That even worked? Yes, it did. Okay. So anyway, that's That's how we'll make our, our roof. And then actually, now that I look at that, that isn't gonna quite work because we don't have enough room for our screws. So we'll probably have to put some ears on this to give ourselves the ability to get our screws in and stuff. So anyway, we're getting there, but we're not there yet. So I know it was a lot, but that's basically how, and then the next thing we'll do is we'll start bringing in the gears with the gear teeth. And then we'll stack them and we'll have shafts and we'll put a lid on it and all of that. So that is, I think, the easiest way to fix this. Actually, do you have, yeah, the easiest way to fix this would actually just be go back into that sketch, edit that sketch, and decide, no, not that one, sorry. We should probably name this sketch, that's the sketch we want, edit that one. Instead of being 1.25, make it 1.5. And now there's enough room for the screw head. Okay, so I am going to stop the recording. Stopping sharing, stopping the recording.